So, let's take a concrete aspect that comprises of water security in our future. This is limited water supply with increasing demands. We can reframe this situation as a causality chain of three variables: exposure to water shortages, total amount of water consumed, and consumption per household per industry. Pay attention to the symbols next to the arrows. In this case, both are positive. These signs do not mean good, they mean the same relationship. A positive symbol means that an increase in the independent variable leads to a further increase in the dependent variable, and a decrease independent variable leads to a decrease in the dependent variable. Therefore, if the amount of water consumed increases, exposure to the water shortages might increase as well. If the amount of water consumed decreases, exposure to the water shortages might decrease in the same direction. Exposure to water shortages also depends on the rate of water supply, which is affected by supply and storage capacities. In this case, the symbol is negative between the water supply and exposure to water shortages. This does not mean bad, but means opposite direction. This means that an increase in the independent variable leads to a decrease in the dependent variable, and a decrease in the independent variable leads to an increase in the dependent variable. Therefore, if the amount of water supply increases, exposure to water shortages decreases. If the amount of water supply decreases, exposure to water shortages increases in the opposite direction. From this part, supply and storage capacities have a positive relationship with the rate of water supply. Now we turn two problematic areas into a positive practice. Instead of lack of sensitive communities, we think about community awareness of water shortage. And instead of lack of participatory master planning, we think in terms of community participation in water-related risk assessment. What we want is that the exposure to the water shortages increases the community's awareness, which leads to increasing community participation in water-related risk assessment. There are two variables that we can hardly manage: population and the effect of climate change. Meanwhile, increasing population escalates the water consumption, and we don't know the effect of climate change. So let's focus on what we can manage. Community participation increases the feasibility of water risk management plans and therefore the probability of successful water risk management. This is what we call community-driven risk management. Successful water risk management is one of the factors that favour urban water resilience, which eventually increases supply and storage capacity, increasing water supply and decreasing the exposure to water shortages. This is a balancing feedback loop. When exposures to water shortages is kicked out, this triggers community-driven risk management, managing storages and supply capacities, which reduces the initial storage. Are you getting the picture? Check the second part of the model in our next video.
Created using Powtoon.